In a busy town filled with noise and rush, there lived a 28-year-old man named David. David worked in an office, had a small apartment, and from the outside, his life looked perfectly normal. But inside, David was drowning in noise. Not the noise of the streets or the traffic. No, this was a different kind of noise. The noise inside his head. Every moment of his day, David's mind was filled with a constant stream of thoughts. What will happen tomorrow? Did I say the wrong thing yesterday? Why does she look at me that way? I need to finish this. I should have done that. What if I fail? What if I succeed? His mind never stopped. It was like a radio that couldn't be turned off, playing 100 channels at once. Because of this constant mental chatter, David felt exhausted. He couldn't focus on his work. He couldn't enjoy his meals. He couldn't even watch a movie without his mind wandering to 1,000 different places. At night, when he lay in bed, the noise became even louder. The silence of his room only made the thoughts scream harder. David would toss and turn for hours, unable to find peace. One evening, after another sleepless night, David walked through the old part of town, trying to clear his head. He passed by antique shops, small cafes, and quiet lanes. Then something caught his eye. In the corner of a dusty shop window sat an old clock. It wasn't running. The hands were frozen at 3:15. Something about that still, silent clock called to him. Without thinking, David walked into the shop. An elderly shopkeeper with gentle eyes looked up from his book. "How much for the clock in the window?" David asked. The old man smiled softly. "Ah, that one. It's broken, you know. Hasn't worked in 20 years. "That's okay," David said. "I'll take it anyway." David brought the clock home and placed it on his desk. Every day he would look at it, the hands forever frozen at 3:15, never moving, never ticking, just still. 1 week passed, then 2. David found himself staring at the clock more and more. At first, he thought about getting it fixed, but slowly something changed. The silence of the clock began to speak to him. Every other clock in his life was always ticking, always moving, always reminding him that time was passing, that he should hurry, that he was running out of time. But this clock was perfectly still, perfectly quiet, and somehow perfectly peaceful. One day, David went back to the antique shop. He needed to understand why the broken clock affected him so much. The old shopkeeper was there, reading the same way he had been before. He looked up and smiled, as if he had been expecting David. "The clock," David said. "It's teaching me something, but I don't understand what." The old man closed his book and gestured for David to sit. "Tell me," the shopkeeper said gently, "what is the clock doing right now?" "Nothing. It's broken. It's not working." "Exactly," the old man nodded. "It's not doing anything. It's not trying to move forward. It's not worried about the future. It's not stuck in the past. It simply exists in this moment, frozen at 3:15, completely at peace with where it is." David sat quietly, letting the words sink in. The shopkeeper continued, "Your mind is like a clock that runs too fast. It races ahead to tomorrow, runs back to yesterday, but never stays in today. The broken clock can teach you what your racing mind has forgotten." "What's that?" David asked. "How to be still, how to stop, how to just be." The old man stood up and walked to a shelf. He pulled out a small hourglass. "I want you to try something," he said. Every day, sit with your broken clock. Watch it for just 5 minutes. But here's the key. While you watch it, I want you to do what the clock does. What do you mean? David asked, confused. The clock doesn't try to fix itself. It's not worried about not working. It's not thinking about all the time it's lost or all the time ahead. It simply exists in this moment, frozen at 3:15, completely still. You must do the same. The shopkeeper handed David the hourglass. Flip this when you sit down. For 5 minutes, just be like the clock. Don't try to stop your thoughts. That's impossible. But when thoughts come, simply notice them like clouds passing in the sky. Don't hold them, don't chase them. Just watch them come and go, while you remain still like the clock. David took the hourglass home, unsure but willing to try. The first day was hard. David sat in front of the clock, flipped the hourglass, and within seconds, his mind was racing again. This is silly. This won't work. I have so much to do. I'm wasting time. But he remembered the shopkeeper's words. He didn't fight the thoughts. He just noticed them, like watching the frozen hands of the clock. The second day was a little easier. The thoughts still came, but now he could see them more clearly. He began to notice the small gap between one thought and the next, a tiny moment of silence. By the end of the first week, something remarkable happened. During his 5 minutes with the clock, David experienced 10 full seconds of complete mental silence. No thoughts, no noise, just peace. It felt like finding water after walking through a desert. He continued the practice. 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes every evening. The moments of silence grew longer. 10 seconds became 30. 30 became a full minute. But even more amazing, the silence started following him throughout his day. When stress came at work, he would remember the still clock, and his mind would quiet, just for a moment. That moment was enough to respond calmly instead of reacting in panic. At night, when he lay in bed, he would imagine the clock frozen at 3:15, and his racing thoughts would slow down. Sleep came easier. 3 months later, David returned to the antique shop one final time. The old shopkeeper looked up and smiled. "You look different," he said, "more peaceful." David smiled back. "The broken clock taught me something I never understood before. I spent my whole life thinking that peace meant fixing everything, controlling everything, making everything work perfectly. But the clock showed me that peace isn't about fixing or controlling." "What is it about?" the shopkeeper asked, though his smile suggested he already knew the answer. "Peace is about being still, even when things aren't perfect, even when life is broken in some ways, even when I can't control what happens next. The clock is broken, but it's not suffering. It's not anxious. It's not worried. It just is. And in that stillness, there's a kind of perfection I never saw before." The old man nodded slowly. "The world will always tick and talk around you. Time will always move. Life will always change. But you can be like the clock, still at your center, present in this moment, not racing ahead, not stuck behind, just here, just now, just still." David kept the broken clock on his desk forever. It never moved from 3:15, and every time his mind started to race, every time the noise began to build, he would look at those frozen hands and remember, true peace doesn't come from making everything work perfectly. True peace comes from being still within yourself, regardless of what's happening around you. The clock is broken, but it's not suffering.
It's not anxious. It's not worried. It just is. And in that stillness, there's a kind of perfection I never saw before. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire peace and wisdom. Remember, you don't need to fix everything to find peace. Sometimes, you just need to be still. Until next time, stay peaceful, stay present, and stay blessed.